Good evening, everyone here. Fesgurma. You're going to be hearing some Gaelic tonight, so I figured we'd start off by saying Fesgurma. Everyone try it. Fesgurma. Good evening. Spirit of the Gael. I'm going to be giving you some fun music, some new music that you haven't heard if you've come to see me before, and I have this wonderful band on stage, so we're going to have a wonderful night tonight together here at the Millennium stage, learning about the music of the Gaels, the Gaelic people. You might remember that in Scotland we like fiddles and kilts, but we also like that instrument over there. So now we're going to go into some bagpipe tunes. The first one is one of the oldest tunes that we know of on the bagpipes called The Braes of Melanish, and then we'll go into a modern bagpipe tune after that. So we have, in this program, we're going to be having stuff that the things you just heard are originals, so those are quite new, like only written in January. So Sunset on Callanish Stones, that was inspired from my summer trip last summer to Scotland. So my second time seeing the beautiful Callanish Stones, very powerful sight. So that first piece you just heard was an original, Sunset on Callanish, and then another one written for some dear friends who love to ski. So I don't know if you could kind of feel yourself skiing down the hill on all that craziness, but that was called The Bluebird Days. So here we go with some bagpipe tunes next. That was Tom Cangelosi on the bagpipes. Woo! Great to have him with us. So, Gaelic music now. This is something that I started. You're like, how does this American boy know how to speak Gaelic and sing in Gaelic? It's something that I started really heavily during a time we all know as COVID. There wasn't a lot to do. And I had already started learning some songs, mainly phonetically, and I had just started my language journey. But then in COVID, it gave me that excuse and that time off. I needed to really go deep and dive deep. So I took a degree course from Strathmore Artist-in in the Isle of Skye. It was online. And then I started working with a legend, a singing legend from the Isle of Lewis, although she spent most of her time in Skye and the Isle of Skye in Scotland. Her name is Christine Primrose. So she gave most of these songs to me, and we say, instead of I learned these songs, I say she gave me these songs because it means a little bit more than just learning them. And this first song we're going to sing is just a song that is like a breath of fresh air, because it's a song about a village in the Isle of Lewis called Carlaway. And it's a very small place if you've ever been there. I went there and I was like, okay, it's really, really beautiful. There's one hut over there, and there's some sheep over there, and some beautiful hills and that kind of thing. There's an old Viking fort and things like that. The Vikings were all over the place in the Isle of Lewis. A lot of place names from Norse and everything. But this song is just a man is praising his homeland and where he grew up. And I did print out some programs, so we have a translation of it in there for you. But I would like to teach you the refrain, which is just a short line at the end of every verse. And we can sing that together. So you're going to learn a little bit of Gaelic. So everyone say, Ache Mogul. Ache Mogul. Hamisha Dol Aun. Hamisha Dol Aun. Okay, let's try that together. Ache Mogul. Hamisha Dol Aun. Let's try it with a melody. Ache Mogul. Hamisha Dol Aun. Ache Mogul, Hamisha Dol Aun. So it's a lovely place. What you're saying is, place of my heart, I will go there. And if you ever have a special place, or you've had a special place in your life, you can think about that when you sing this song. It's just a beautiful song from the Isle of Lewis in Scotland called Carlaway, or Ache Mogul. Here we go. Kjoleth mo vilen, små krier I lim. Lokin gun klunjagan sølm og skel. Am volle gev chin, små hetakan heim. Smigal mo heim gu kalavai. Ache mogul, Hamisha Dol Aun. O murra bein kuan, snach urain gomna. Chaljekeg mochas govin am ha. Gushulen lekabak, smoch hasid abar. Harmonics har song gu kalavai. Ache mogul, Hamisha Dol Aun. San yereik kalum, feik mi a klar. An shom mi ein strich latoch mograi. Le faram ma kraken, agis taring mira. Skol varen oi gaunen kalavai. Ache mogul, Hamisha Dol Aun. vilhast far na hog sin an carn Ritun na starak na chlachan an art Sandula vilhast am magile manam Mar gynjochan noram sadan kalavai Haje mogul ha mishe dolan Gresost is Gian Kabak a Harabaj na smooch am volk joakam skak minach gun frisch bi sols gam ruin Marianus mitlu ahoy morun sanen kalavai Hache mogul همیشه دولان O caniturium avelunat he a chicken elan as machich von grein smahuku dochrie ja ulegulet karson erestagakue Hache mogul hamishe dolan Hache mogul hamishe dolan Modern Tying and Shane, thank you for singing along. Carl away from Lewis. Beautiful, beautiful song, that one. My teacher, Christine Primrose, it was the name of one of her first records, Ache Molgu, Place of My Heart. So we're going to switch it up a little bit and go over to the northeast of Scotland with a couple of tunes that are associated with a formidable character in our Scottish fiddle history. His name was James Scott Skinner. And Scott Skinner at some point just decided that you know, in this era that he lived in the late 1800s, sort of the Victorian era, and he dressed like a normal person for a while, and then he just decided, I'm going all out and I'm going all Scottish. He wore a kilt and a tie and like a fuzzy sporran every day for the rest of his life, and wrote some crazy tunes and pieces that reflected a lot of his classical violin training. And this is two pieces that are associated. The first one isn't by him, it's actually by an Italian immigrant to Scotland, and he played in the orchestra, and I think Skinner knew him. But anyways, then Skinner wrote a kind of companion piece to go with this, and it takes advantage of some of these flashy Italian techniques, he called them, on the violin. So Skinner apparently could even do backflips in his kilt while playing the fiddle. I'm not going to try that, though.
It's a G-rated show.
So this is The Banks and Madame Neruda. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you very much. As Seán gets set up here, a lot of the repertoire and the instruments that we'll be playing for you this evening have a really rich history in Scotland. For example, the fiddle and cello have been playing together in Scotland for weddings and ceilings for weddings and ceilings as far back as about the mid 18th century. And the clarsach, the instrument that Seán is getting ready to play just now, dates as far back as the 8th century. So it's quite a long history, and it's really fun to celebrate that on stage as well.
Thanks, Ellen. Ellen Gira on the cello, everybody. Figured I'd come out front so you could actually see what I was doing instead of hiding behind all those mics there. So this piece we're going to play is from a really old collection of harp music that was collected in the islands and highlands, and some of the pieces go back so far we don't know where they come from exactly, but most of the words to these, the harp pieces, which would have been songs, as the harp was the instrument of the bards, a lot of those words were lost, so we only have the melody of a lot of these pieces. But we're going to start with one from that collection that is called "Return to Me This Way to Me, My Own Dear Maid," and then after that, so it's a love song, obviously. And then after that, we'll go into a beautiful song that I got from a wonderful recording of the Lochies, which was a group from the Isle of Lewis, and just have been loving their songs, and they have just very rich songs. And this song is about a bunch of sailors leaving the port of Greenock, which is just near Glasgow, and they would have sailed all the way around Campbelltown and then all the way north up to the Isle of Lewis, where they were from. So they were obviously working in Glasgow or Greenock, and then they caught the boat home. And they're just reflecting on the people that they pass on the way there, because those seas can be very rough. And they're reflecting on that journey, and they're having a word that in Gaelic is cianalas. And cianalas means, it's kind of an untranslatable word, but it means homesickness, essentially, a nostalgia for home. So they were all experiencing that. And they finally feel like once they get closer to the Isle of Lewis and they see the mountains in the distance, that they can hear their loved ones singing songs as they come to the harbor. And they mention in there that in the language of Gaelic, which is the dear language that our mothers gave us when we were young. So it's a beautiful song called Leaving Greenock. But before we do that, we'll do Return This Way to Me, My Own Dear Maid. Vian Lodgeloin Snudd Joli Trona Kulchen Va Korsa Kindri Tua Nud Heila Digan Lagein Va Ferren Gaeltachta Fast jorne vaige fadegein is bjaunt en arst mogel Do shachet idna helanan Valloch nish a chindalo Ed borst va moran jondaran Da shekunnachu Van kursok iats annamshin Lekuth kuriatchen ge Kun chrashin live go bronochru Is yolshin edar kurs Gambig sin masgar carden Leor an graig an shein Schleishenach am se Gaeltachta shi a chainch Is mil shlein An canan hukar mahad gain Nudd vashin og nar cloin Charo al na kiana las vichin dludonat Vi fegin kiona dachian Againya diev kobla Ach og fein sin Gàidhlig leis Cum feishin shiasan na Seri ist ni sin konian An ljoes nam bjaun narst Thank you so much, everyone. Isn't that a lovely song? So go look up, it's actually on Spotify. It's only on vinyl and on Spotify, but you can look up the Lochies and that beautiful album, Home to Lewis. It's just a glorious song. So we're going to take you to another genre of Gaelic song, which is a type of work song. And it's a very special type of work song. The famous collector Alan Lomax went out into the Hebrides in the early 1900s or mid-1900s, I think. And it was kind of the last place where these songs were actually being done for the work, because now machines do this work. But Walking the Wool, W-A-U-L-K, and it was an activity in Scotland done only by women. And so therefore, the songs would have a lot of gossip in them because the men weren't allowed to attend these walkings. So it would be often that, much like sea shanties, where you would make up a verse or something like that as you were going along, this is something they would do as well. But then when a lot of people immigrated to like places like Cape Breton in the north of Nova Scotia, they took these songs with them and they called them something else. They called them milling. That activity was known as a milling frolic. And for whatever reason, they allowed the men to attend at that point. So the songs kind of changed a little bit. But they had to have a lot of these songs because this activity sometimes would take like 12 hours, beating the wool on the table, stretching it, and passing it to the next person. So it's very rhythmic type of music, and usually has great melodies. So this one is Yeanin Sukra Krisha Nyendu, which means I would sport with the black-haired maiden. It's not talking about a woman at all, actually. It's talking about a ship with either a black hull or black sails or both. Kind of sounds like a pirate ship to me, but but it's a great song that just mentions some activities that would have happened on the ship. And gathered in my research on this song, it was actually one of the ones written by a man, but it is sung usually in a group of other songs with it. So this is Yeanin Sukruk Rishenyendu. Yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo in sucre Christian kruag nora vegas tuag nan katta in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo in sucre kalam dus naum na shula figen paskat in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo if jaloin and yeji donig galam shina shon et chake in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo Goram rifo gailan siko stile kronden eikel in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo Rifka kjels, rifka påsklag Muth må gå lein på en misfettar in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo My gina live skuga gresa in sucre Christian yendo niego e de gassevate in sucre Christian yendo Haro roba famous place et mo vagen reaching gafi in sucre Christian yendo niego e de gassevate in sucre Christian yendo Eimig Boschen hina boogie Katavika kroning karstal in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo Eimig vonen karstal Eimig Boschen jengachi in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo in sucre Christian yendo niego e di gassevate in sucre Christian yendo Thank you. Thank you very much. Give it up for Zan McLeod on that guitar and Ellen Gira. All right, who's ready to tap their feet and clap their hands? That's what this music's about, right? The dance music we're going to be playing for you next. We got Tom back on the stage, so we don't want to see any feet still out there.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2,
I don't know about you, but I'm like, I gotta catch my breath after that one. That was fun. That last one was called The Glass of Beer. It's an epic one, you know? So we wanted to, no good Gaelic music concert would be complete without this beautiful song you're going to hear next. This is one that was written, it sounds like it's very old, but it was actually written in 1970, which when you're comparing to like 18th and 17th centuries, that's not very old. And this one was written at a time when the Gaelic language was in severe, severe decline in all over Scotland, and this bard decided to take some action because he wrote this song as a way to say, okay, people, wake up. You're going to lose your language here. You're going to lose this real part of your culture. You know, there's a saying in Gaelic that is a "Chíd gun teanga, chíd gun anam," which means a land without a tongue, a language, is a land without soul. And it's a very, very important message because what happened with this kind of a song being written and then what happened to Gaelic after that is a good part of the story because you know, a lot of it was supported by the SNP and all this other thing. So the musicians sometimes can take a real effort and write something that kind of changes the course of history. And I just love this song for that. So it has some great words in it where it says, like, you know, if you saw a kilted man in the glens, you would have been sure that his first language was Gaelic, but nowadays it's just a land full of majors and colonels. And then there's another great verse that is, we have to sort of guard this language like a withering candle flame, because that's where they wanted to put it. The enemy wanted to put this language in a house of death and just cover it up. So it's a real powerful song. The chorus is Hi cooking, hi codhum gushir. Come along, come with me to the west. Gus an cloinshin and can and then Gael, until you hear the language of the Gaels. So the first part of that is Gus an cloinshin and can and them Féin, which is the language of the Fenian. So that's related to Ireland and how this language developed from Irish Gaelic into Scottish Gaelic and the compatriots of Finn MacCool, the legendary warriors. So it's got a lot of great history in it, and it was written by Murdo McFarlane in 1970, Can and Nangail. Bin kranig ger fuar van Ga bin druiske san galjon van Ach en galler al blien van jees La duljochstok agis vlee O kanen mo reis mo looi Ik Codhum gushia Gus an cloin sin an canan am fe Ikugain hik codhum gushia Gus an cloin sin an canan an Gael Nuad hier fer feilig sa glaw Buchin chocker Gaelic a chaich Nu the Spania terivas known Na che Gaelic ha canan egay Se Gaeltach creil and so She cheered vagers is colonels and Jewish He cooking he called Gus an cloin sin an canan am fe He cooking he codhum gushia Gus an cloin sin an canan an Gael ar an nuascain na cain lear an nór Sound caribh na cain lear an Gaeltachta Lots of stores yet an siomr y froen Ta ar y siom chan yn y gain Sieis y dochiwn na dwysd yna Achas ta bel can yn y gain Hic o gain, hic coddwm gwsiar Gws yn glwyn sy'n am can yn fe Hic o gain, hic coddwm gwsiar Gws yn glwyn sy'n am can yn ge Gàidheal a beas na glin Gyd nach clwniar a nis mwy san dŵn O goig fi cyffat a tŵa Gwr y cwdroi mwach garnam bo Gia gynan elan yn siar Si hast Awn hiad chain sian tloi Hic o gain, hic coddwm gwsiar Gys yn clwyn sy'n am can yn fe Hic o gain, hic coddwm gwsiar Gys yn clwyn sy'n am can yn ge Hic o gain, hic coddwm gwsiar Yn clwyn sy'n am can yn fe Hic o gain, hic coddwm gwsiar Gys yn clwyn sy'n am can yn ge Well, everybody, we've come to our last number. Oh. But I hope you'll come see us again. How many of you is your first time seeing me here? Or, well, in Millennium stage, yes. Wow, that's a lot of new faces. Well, I hope you come and check out our merch table. We've got some CDs and things like that. But I think we have a mailing list up there. But we'd love to see you again. This has been a blast playing here at the Millennium stage. So thank you. Give a hand to the crew here today. We've had Tom Cangelosi on the bagpipes. Zan McLeod on the guitar and bouzouki. Ellen Gira on the cello and voice. And once again, everyone, I'm Seán Heely. Here we go with a blast of tunes for you. Dancing is encouraged.
joining us at Millennium Stage. For more information about upcoming shows, please check out the Kennedy Center website or Facebook page. At this time, we ask that you please head to the back of the seating area so we can safely put away our chairs.